Welcome to Hey Guys, an Internet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Amanda Haska, and today I am joined by Meghan Rienks. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
I am super excited to have you. We were talking about this a little bit before. I actually met you a couple times when I worked at Clever.
Yeah.
And you still do stuff with them, which is so fun.
All the time.
I feel like you kind of, like you did beauty break and stuff with them, and you really like did all the weird beauty stuff and all the weird things before it was like a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I give all the credit to Lily Marston, who's like, she like ran that before she was even in front of the camera.
Right.
And so, yeah, we did, I just remember the first really weird episode we did was I like attempted to curl Jocelyn's hair and I literally, or maybe straightened it, one of it, but all I know is I didn't even get half of her hair done and the video was like 17 minutes long. And Lily was just sitting on the video for so long until she finally convinced her boss. She's like, please let me post it. He's like, this doesn't teach anyone how to do anything. And then from there, we realized that like the more ridiculous that we were, it was totally okay.
I love that. And that, I love that they're still, like, it's like the crazier the better now.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. They do some wild stuff. Have you shot anything with them recently?
I think was the last thing that we shot when our camera guys got tattoos on our faces.
I saw that.
I think that might have been the last one that I went in and did.
How can you top that? You just like throw in the towel.
I have no idea. And also like it's the most confusing like dare bet situation going on because like there's never any repercussions for us. Like we do nothing. We don't have to do anything. We could never lose. It's either like we tell them if the video gets X amount of likes, then they volunteer to do something. But like there's no consequence for us.
Yeah, maybe there should be. Maybe we
but we don't. But they haven't realized that should be a thing. So like none of us are saying anything.
Okay, well let's hope none of them listen to that because they'll have
like what are you gonna do now? And we're like, still nothing.
So you're on our podcast. You have your own podcast called Don't Blame Me.
I do.
It's like a little advice podcast. I think it's great because sometimes there's something about you're not a stranger to them, but just someone that you're not super familiar with, like giving you advice because, like, it just, I don't know, I feel like you can be more open and more honest because when it's your friends, you can like withhold certain information, that kind of stuff. So what kind of inspired you to start it?
I've always been just giving unwarranted advice, like my whole life. Like anytime, I feel like I've gotten to this point now as I got older, my friends definitely came to me for advice and I became that kind of person because I've always been like super tough love. And I always use the example of like my best friend, she will come to me for advice with about like 50% of the things in her life because the other half, she's like, no, I don't want your honest opinion because I know that I'm probably not gonna take it or I don't really necessarily agree with it. But yeah, so like I think it's fun and it's cool and exactly like you're saying, having someone who doesn't know the whole, who can look at the situation from like a bird's eye view. Because I think if it's like your best friend and you're talking about like a guy you like or something like that, where it's like, well, you know him, like you know this kind of thing, but like maybe the actions don't match the words or something like that. But when you have someone who's kind of taken out of the situation and isn't like biased in any way, I can be super honest.
Do you ever like think about, because sometimes you want to think of everything from like different angles because you're only hearing like one side of the story technically sometimes. So someone could be coming to you advice. Like I was listening to one where she was saying her husband like talks down to her because he's a little bit older, and I'm like, what if she's really stupid?
Yeah. Oh no. There was one girl who was saying that she was like, I have a group of friends, and these other girls were saying that like
she's like, I have 30 friends, and we can't all hang out at one house. So I was like, oh, I don't even know 30 people.
That's what my response exactly. I'm like, I could not. That's like a soul cycle class. Like that's a lot of people. And so my advice to her was, I was like, well, I mean, I'll be real. Like you seem like you didn't get the short end of the stick here. So like that kind of thing. So sometimes it's hard. I think about that afterwards where I'm like, wow, I really wasn't on the person's side who was the one who called and asked for advice, and I like sided with the person who's not there.
But sometimes they probably need that sort of, like you said, tough love.
Yeah.
It's like they need someone to just kind of, but I will say with advice, it can be so much easier to dish it out than it is to take it.
Oh, yeah,
I could give advice to anyone who wants it, but when it comes to like actually following through that myself, I probably won't.
Yeah, I don't ask for advice because like I'm just like, nope, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. If I want it, it's because I'm a really decisive person. So usually for me, it's like I'm just either like yes or no. There is no in between. There is no like debating something. So if I'm asking for advice, usually I'm phrasing it where I'm like, so you agree with me, and this is what I think, right?
Yeah.
So I always get what I want to hear.
Yeah. What is like one of the weirder calls that you've gotten?
Oh my gosh.
'Cause you probably get some weird ones.
Yeah, we got a really, so I'm still convinced this is a fake call, and my producer, director, Jack Ferry is like, no, this might be real. I'm like, I choose to believe it's not real. It's like, I feel like it's not PG at all, and it was in our, like we did, like, a sex-themed episode, and there was this one girl, and you can listen to it in the last episode, because I feel terrible saying it on this, but it was a girl saying something that her boyfriend was interested in, and she didn't know how to, like, broach a subject that she wasn't comfortable with it. And I'm still convinced it's a fake call. Like, I'm like, this is not real. Yeah. There's no way that someone at 16 is asking you to do that.
Well, she probably doesn't have anyone to talk about it with, because all of her
Jack
friends are probably like, I don't know.
Yeah, and he was like, come on, you told people to, like, ask the questions they're too afraid to talk to their friends about, or too afraid to Google or anything like that. And I was like, oh my God, I did this to myself. So bad.
Is there one that, or have you gotten any advice calls that really, like, resonate with you, where you're like, I have gone through this exact same thing, and you, like, knew exactly what to say?
I feel like, honestly, a lot of them, just because of the ages of the girls calling in, there's girls and guys, but a lot of the time the ages are people who are in their, like, late teens and early 20s, and so that's, like, I'm only 23, I turned 24 in a couple weeks, so that's so recent for me. And I think what I like the most about it, and why I always wanted to do a podcast, is people think that the situations that they go through are so unique to them, and they internalize everything. So they never talk about it with, like, even if with your friends, like, in those certain things, like, you don't really want to talk about it all the time, and you don't realize that everybody's pretty much going through the same things around the same, like, time period in their lives. So I think that's kind of the coolest part, especially when it's things that, like, I might have never talked about on YouTube, where I'm like, oh my God, no, I totally understand what you mean with this. And sometimes in the, like, advice things, there's one girl who was talking about how she has a group of friends, and they would all, like, study together, and there's, like, a couple of girls who, like, don't really, like, pull their weight and all of this stuff, and, like, she felt guilty, like, kicking them off their study group team or whatever. And my whole thing was, I'm like, okay, I don't relate to you because you're super smart, and I have, like, terrible ADHD, and I had such a hard time in school, and my friends were so good at helping me out in, like, math and science and all that sort of stuff. And so for me, I'm like, I relate to your friends in this situation more, and, like, being able to, like, come at it from that side of things. But then, like, when there's people talking about, there was one girl who was talking about how, as opposed to, like, some, like, the obvious, like, the heartbreak ones or whatever, thinking you can never get over someone you've dated. But there was one girl who was like, every single person I date, I'm, like, so sick of after, like, 3 months. Like, is there something wrong with me? And I was like, no, that happened to me for so long. But that's something that, like, I've never made, like, a full video talking about that kind of stuff. So I think it's cool for people to hear, like, oh, you've been through this, and, like, come out the other side of it. Because I'm, like, a little bit older, like 95 internally. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. Because sometimes, like, you don't want to sit down and do, like, a whole video about something where it's like, hey, everybody, like, this happened to me. So it's, like, a good way of, like, kind of, like, sneaking in little, like, personal anecdotes and little things to show, like you said, that, you know, you're not the only one who's gone through something like this. And I think, you know, like you said, with the like, the study group people, I feel like sometimes it's as simple as, like, just being able to, or just being told, like, maybe try to think of it from someone else's perspective. Where I almost think of that too much, where I'm like, you gotta think of everybody else's side. You gotta think of, like, okay, like, I'm very much like a benefit of the doubt kind of person, where I'm like, well, maybe they had a bad day, or maybe this or that. Like, you would kind of not make excuses, but you just want to be able to see things from both sides, and
I think that's good. I think it's hard to do, especially when you're in the situation, and if you're at that age, your school time is spent with people who are your age and who are your friends and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes it's kind of hard. As soon as you have one person on your side, you feel like no other sides exist.
And they just don't even really think that way. You know, they just kind of think it's, like, black and white, and, like, okay, like, this is how it goes, and it's like there's a lot of dimension to all these kind of things. So speaking of advice, so one thing, so a huge thing that has been going on, like, for weeks, I feel like it has been the saga of, like, Jake Paul. So if you have not been paying attention, because I feel like he needs advice. He needs advice real bad. So I'm just going to break it down very briefly for anyone who does not know. Like, I'm going to try to give the best Cliff Note version I can. But so he's basically a vlogger, and he does really crazy stunts, and he vlogs every single day. It's everyday bro.
It's everyday bro on the Disney Channel flow.
So he, like, did a rap song, and then his brother got involved, and he, like, also had this really weird saga with this girl, Alyssa Violet, that he, like, dated but didn't. He's just very messy. Like, he's just very, very messy. And it's all kind of culminated over the last couple weeks. He's been doing, like, kind of dangerous stunts at his house, where he's been, like, setting mattresses on fire, and he lives in this, like, he has his Team 10, which is all these, like, social media influencers, and they all live in this house together where they do said pranks and, like I said, like, light stuff on fire. And then they have fans come and gather around their house. It's creating a huge hazard for the people who live there. And so this is all culminated. He was on a Disney Channel show, and they parted ways. But AKA, everyone thinks he was fired, which, like, he probably was. I mean, I don't have the receipts on that, but if I had to guess, Disney's very smart about their brand, and he was kind of, you know, not representing it in a way that they probably should have been. So he, I feel like, is 20 years old. A lot of fame. I feel like he's kind of going through a Justin Bieber syndrome right now, where he's just got super famous and is very in his own head about it, and very egotistical, and thinks like he's invincible and all this stuff. And just, so what advice would you give him?
What advice would I give
How can
him?
he get through this?
I feel like he should go to college.
Yeah.
Or high school. Did he go to high school? I mean, one of those. And I say this as someone who didn't go to college.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's something crazy about, like, I don't know. I think of, like, the time period that I had. Like, I was, like, absolutely insane from the ages of, like, 16 to, like, 19. And if I was, like, on camera and, like, super rich while doing that, I could only imagine, like, how much, like, how elevated the shenanigans I would have gotten to. So I feel like, you know, maybe that. And also maybe move to, like, Wyoming and, like, big open space. Team 10 house and, like, wide open spaces. No one, because I have a friend who lives right by him and is, like, the amount of traffic to get to his place is insane. I know. And at
See,
first
it's
it
just
was all,
he's so, I don't know. It's funny too because it was trending where it's like Jake Paul fired from Bizaardvark, and I saw like people like Seth Rogen tweeting me like, "Who is Jake Paul? What is Bizaardvark?
Did you see Diplo's tweet?
Oh yeah, he said something about YouTubers.
He's like, someone just showed me YouTubers. I like hate this world or something like that, and I literally just quote tweeted it and then just said quote tweet at Jake Paul.
Yeah, I mean, not.
I mean,
true.
if anything good has come from this, there's a YouTuber who used to be a Viner named Cody Ko, and he just roasts Jake Paul's content, and it's made Cody Ko have some really great content.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if anything, like I kind of hope you keep doing this because Cody's had some really hilarious videos.
Yeah.
He did a rap video response to It's Everyday Bro, and it's
I just
pretty good.
feel like Jake Paul just takes himself so seriously. Like he thinks he's doing like the Lord's work or something. And it's like, you're making YouTube videos. I will admit some of them are very, you know, like creative and interesting to watch. And I think he has a very creative mindset. But I think that sometimes the most creative people are the most crazy. Like, look at Kanye West. Or, I mean, I can't believe I even, like, just compared the two. But you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people who are very, very smart just, I don't know, a little much
crazy
for me. I mean, anyways, moving on from Jake Paul. That's about as much attention as I want to give him. So you were on a Hulu show recently called Freakish with Liza Koshy, who's amazing.
Little nugget.
So what was it like filming that?
Oh,
That seemed
so
like
much fun. We just finished filming our season 2, which comes out in October, which I'm so excited. I didn't even know. I just got tagged from like a Freakish fan account that it was like, guess when your show comes out? I'm like, I didn't even know. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it's super fun. Filming season 1 was so cool, and it was such a different experience. And like getting to know everybody, and we all became like the whole cast. We became so close, and like with the crew and everybody. And so then coming back for a second season, it was so cool because it was like, oh my god, it's all these same people again, and like it felt like coming back
like from school or
something, but it's like you're a senior now, so you're like, oh cool, like I'm not just like a junior who's like learning the ropes. Like I know everything.
I know the ropes now.
Yeah, and so it's cool because there's a couple there's like new cast members who are coming on and all that stuff. And I remember they would get like super lost on set on the stages, and they'd be like, Megan, how do we get here? I'm like, okay, here. So like we're gonna walk in. I was like, I loved it. So it's really fun. It's cool. I really like the amount of stuff that I got to do this season. I'm really excited for. I'm nervous to watch it, but I'm always nervous to watch like anything I do. I like watch my own YouTube videos on mute to edit them. Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited. Hopefully people like it.
So you kind of going back to your podcast a little bit. What do you have other podcasts that you like to listen to?
Oh, yes. I'm currently obsessed with Anna Faris's Unqualified.
Oh, that's a great one.
I've listened to a bunch because I wanted to listen to like advice-based podcasts and just like hear how people are doing that. So I listened to Savage Lovecast. I listened to Anna Faris's Unqualified. And then my friend is obsessed with The Love Bomb by Nico Tortorella.
Yeah.
I constantly want to call him like Nico Tortellini.
Like Torta whatever.
Yeah. So I've been listening to that. My boyfriend's obsessed with some Game of Thrones podcast, which I feel like I need to start watching or listening to, because now that Game of Thrones is back on and we're like watching things, we're usually on like the same page. We're like, wait, what's that character's name again? Let's Google it, because there's so many characters and he knows everything. And I'm like, I don't like that about this.
I feel like I have my finger on the pulse of like a lot of things pop culture. Game of Thrones is not one of them. Like my roommate was kind of watching it last night, and I was sitting there and I was like screaming at part. It was so violent. I was like, I do not like this.
Last night's episode was weird. Like there were some points where I was just like, we were watching it and I was like, God, they should just, this scene should be done. Like, there were some just like excessive, like I'm all for like make it raunchy, sure, but there were some parts I was like, oh my God, this is so excessive. This is so excessive. And I felt like a kid watching it where you're like, oh my eyes.
I mean, maybe one day. I didn't watch Breaking Bad until like it had been off air for a few years, so like maybe I'll do the same. It's good. It's so dark. Like it's hard to binge watch.
I watched it up until the point where there's like the bathtub and like the decaying bodies, and that falls through the roof, and then I was like, no, this is. I didn't know where my limit was, because I love Criminal Minds. I love like that like creepy, gross stuff. But we got to that point, and I'm weirdly scared of drugs. Like I can't even watch Across the Universe or like Almost Famous, because it makes me like hyperventilate. I have no idea why. That and underwater movies. And so I was like, Breaking Bad. I was like, nope, I can't move past this. This is too rough.
It's just very dark. Like I almost feel like I would have watched it like as it aired, because watching like multiple episodes in a day is like a lot. So it's pretty heavy stuff. But transitioning from non-heavy stuff, so you have been on YouTube for like quite a while now.
Oh my God, yeah.
So how do you kind of go about, because I feel like when YouTube first started, you would just like post videos and you like didn't have to think about it that much, but now you gotta think about it a little bit. So how do you kind of go about like programming and choosing things for your channel?
I think for me, it's about and I feel like I've been on enough that I've kind of done every way of scheduling programming. I've done the whole, like, what's really popular right now, what's viral, what, like, clickbait kind of thing, like, what's going to get the most attraction and all that stuff, and seeing what's trending. And there's doing that. But for me personally, that's just, like, the most unfulfilling kind of thing. And, like, I don't have fun doing that. Like, I don't have
chasing views.
Yeah, and it's like you're doing, like, a video where it's, like, the way to compare it to, like, what's hot now is, like, slime. Like, if I did a slime video, like, maybe that would be really fun. But for me, I found that because I've been doing this for so long, and it's also, like, I do this and I also do so many other things, that I have to really love what I'm doing. And then not only is that like selfishly like make me have fun while I'm filming it, but it also translates to the video. Like if I'm enjoying myself while I'm doing it, you can tell in the video, and it's way more fun to watch someone who you can tell is like really like in it for like the right reasons and is actually like having a ton of fun, as opposed to just doing something because you know it's popular, or because like you're just like really forcing yourself to do that kind of content. So I think for me, I definitely focus on stuff that like is fun for me to film. So like I'll force my friends to be in things like all of the time, where I'm like, I'm not in the mood to film a video right now. Like, will you come over and be in this with me? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, please. Or I'll make my boyfriend do it. Or I'm like, there's one video I'm so upset people didn't watch it. It like was not nearly as popular as I wanted it to be. That was, I was in a terrible mood and I didn't want to film a video, but I had to. And my boyfriend was like, well, why don't we do that video that like Jenna Marbles did that you think is so funny, where like her boyfriend Julian puts on her clothes and then you can put on my clothes. And so it's literally like the entire video is him just trying to cheer me up by like putting on like a bandage skirt and like leggings. And I was like, this is great. So I think that's mostly for me just like what's fun to film. And so I've been doing like a lot of baking videos because my friends have been requesting a lot of food to eat. So they're like, can you make this? And I'm like, sure.
Well, fun. I feel like as a YouTuber too, it must be kind of nice at the end of a video when you're like, what do you want to see me do? And people have suggestions for days. So it's like, you know, it's basically like you can like handpick whatever you want to do. If
and there's like great ideas. I did one video of mine that I think I personally love is I did my fake audition for The Bachelor. Yeah, a fake audition for The Bachelor, and then from there, everyone's like, do your Bachelorette audition. Yeah. And I was like, oh, good call, guys. Thanks for that.
What was it like for? What season was it, or like was it around?
So I had never watched The Bachelor before, but I had like I was like
aware of it.
I'm aware of it. I had a friend who was on it, and I just feel like it's constantly on Instagram, it's constantly on Twitter. So like I knew the whole space, and my friends are like diehard obsessed. And so I felt like kind of understood it. And then there was this BuzzFeed article that came out that was just like so hilariously written, and it was breaking down like the new contestants for next season in like pie charts and things like how many, like now guys, like take a wild guess, how many girls their favorite animal is a dolphin? It's like, you guessed it, like 26 out of 32. And I was just laughing so hard because it was these answers, it was so crazy that all of these girls, or a lot of them, would have like the exact same answer that was like a relatively unique answer, but if you thought about it, they said their favorite animals were either like a dolphin or an otter, which are like two of the ones, I think otters like mate for life. And like, these girls think they're like mind tricking these producers when I'm like, oh my God, you're all answering the same thing.
Right.
And like every girl is like, who's your like fictional like TV show? Who's your favorite person? They're like Olivia Pope. I'm like, every single person is saying the same thing, but they think they're being so creative.
That's so
and
funny.
so I just redid pretty much. I just responded as if I was a contestant on it and answering those things, but as if I was them, where it's like, oh my God, light bulb off my head. Like, I would be an otter. Like, that makes total sense. And I'd never watched an episode before. And then I posted that the day that his season premiered, and I was wearing a red dress just because I read again that like all these people, like girls always want to wear red dresses because they'll stand out. And the whole joke on like the first episode of Nick's season was like, every girl wore a red dress to stand out, so none of them stood out. And I remember everyone was commenting on it. They're like, oh my God, did you actually plan this? And then people thought I was actually like auditioning for it. And I was getting all these people like texting me, be like, yo, did you and your boyfriend break up? Like, are you okay? I can't believe you would audition for this. And I was like, no, guys, but thank you that you totally believed it.
It's a marketing tool, which that's how most of them go into it now, where they're like, I want to sell fit tea.
100%. And I posted that, and then I went to the people from The Bachelor picked up on it and like saw it, and my friends who were on it were like tweeting it. They're like, this is the most accurate thing ever. And then my friend and I went to the Women Tell All live taping afterwards.
Oh my God.
And there's a couple of Bachelor producers who were like, yeah, we saw your video. I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry.
That's so funny. I watched like the very first season of The Bachelor ever. Like as it aired, I watched like the first like 3 seasons, and then I kind of fell off. I think I was like in college and like didn't really have a DVR, and like online watching wasn't as like prevalent as it is now, if that dates me. Oh well. But ever since like Jake Pavelka season, I like really picked up, and I've been keeping up, but we were both talking about how we haven't really been watching this season.
Rachel's great. Like, I trust whoever.
I know.
I've now realized that I think if I really like the contestant who's like the Bachelor or Bachelorette, I feel like I'm like, I trust her. She'll pick a great person. Like, good for you. But if it's someone like Nick, where I'm like, I don't know anything about you, I feel like I'm more invested in figuring that out.
My cycle got thrown off because I wasn't the biggest Nick fan, so I didn't really feel compelled to watch Nick's season, so I didn't really watch Nick's season. And now with Rachel's rolling around, I'm like, well, I didn't really watch his season, so why am I going to watch Rachel's? So it's a big old thing. But
she just seems like just so
she's
cool.
too good. I don't know what she's doing on The Bachelor.
But I still, my favorite clip ever, if you haven't seen it, which you should, is literally just her, her like profile from Nick's season, and where they do like the girls at their jobs or whatever. She's literally attorney, and the clip that they chose is her vacuuming her office.
Come on.
So weird because I'm like, first of all, like this is not like we're not catching you in a moment. Like this is you have to script this, you have to plan this, and you choose her to have her like singing and vacuuming, and I'm like, what?
Well, the show has become very self-aware, where it just like makes all these jokes and like all the Bachelor in Paradise stuff of like the crab, and like they would edit it so this woman who was like obviously talking to a producer, but it looked like she was like talking to like a crab, like walking around. It's hilarious, but I don't know. Sometimes I think the commitment's a lot too. It's 2 hours a week.
That's a lot.
Which is, you know, it'd be one thing if it were like 2 hours where it was maybe like Monday and Tuesday, but to sit down and watch a show for 2 hours is a lot.
Yeah.
And just dedicate your time to like that one show. I mean, are you gonna watch Bachelor in Paradise? Do you think?
I'm 100%. Well, because I've heard that's the best one.
It is, but there's all the controversy this season. I'm gonna watch it. Everyone, like, some people are like, this is garbage. Like, I'm not gonna watch it because of all this, and I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, just. I'm gonna watch it. Am I gonna be 100% thrilled about it? Like, not really, but I'm going to, just because I want to see how they handle it, and I feel like that's how a lot of people.
That's what I'm curious about, because I'm just very much like, ugh.
Yeah, but it is. I will say it is the best iteration of all the Bachelors, and because it's just so funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just. It's way more dramatic, and I feel like people are like way more ratchet on it.
Oh, see, I love that. I love that.
Because I am a big, like, I love Real Housewives, like Jersey Shore I was into. Oh, yes. Like, I like when people get trashy, and Bachelor in Paradise is trashy.
See, I like that. I like that. Yeah. I was a Jersey Shore fan.
You'll be into it. So moving on, we have this thing, I was telling you a little bit about mine earlier, that literally one just happened to me today, but a social media horror story.
Yes.
So for any, it's basically just like an embarrassing moment on social media. And I had a really bad one happen to me like just this morning. So on Facebook, you know, it pops up and it tells you everyone's birthdays. And I saw it was like Billy something, and I thought it was an old coworker of mine. And so I worked with him like maybe a couple years ago. So I was like, happy birthday. And then I looked and I realized it was like one of my older sister's friends from high school who like neither one of us have probably spoken to in like 13 or 14 years. And I'm like, that's not awkward. Like, I don't even think he like goes on Facebook. Why am I still friends with him? I have no idea. But that was a little cringy because I'm like, he's probably gonna see this pop up and be like, why is she telling me happy birthday? But
something terrible one of my best friends and I do, which is a small side note, is on people's birthdays, we'll like see who we're still friends with on Facebook, and if it suddenly alerts me that it's your birthday, I won't delete you on your birthday, but I will delete you the next day.
It's an alert of like, oh, who is this person? Like,
exactly.
I probably should have deleted
if
him.
If I don't feel comfortable wishing you happy birthday, I'm like, why are we friends on Facebook?
Totally.
But I've definitely done on Facebook like forever ago, and I only ever saw this because of like Facebook memories or whatever. And so it used to be with Facebook, it would say like, tell us like, your name is doing something or whatever. Yeah, and you had to do something like that. I found this probably when they first started doing memories, like a year or so ago, and it was just like some person I went to school, like elementary school with, it was just that person's name. So I was trying to search their name, but I made it my status and did not realize it till like 7 years later when Facebook alerted me. They're like, this time 7 years ago you were, and then it's just like this random person's name. I'm like, oh my God. Thankfully they don't have a profile anymore, so it doesn't tag them or anything, but I'm like, this was my Facebook status when I was like 14, 15, and it stayed.
I think I had that exact same thing happen to me where I was trying to search. I had gotten a BlackBerry and it was like very new to me and I didn't know how to work Facebook on it yet. And so I was trying to look up, because I think it was her birthday and I wanted to write happy birthday on her wall. I'm very into writing happy birthday on people's walls on Facebook. But I like searched her name and it was like Amanda Haska is like whatever her name was, and you're like, oh my God. Mortifying.
I've accidentally like almost done it a couple of times since, where I'll be like looking for something on Facebook and I'm like, this would be really bad. It's like me just tweeting, like if I like to search Twitter for people who are like tweeting about me but not tagging me, it's like me just tweeting my own name.
You're like, just in case you didn't know. And so we also have this thing called We Ship It. So who is someone that you were like dying to collaborate with that you haven't done so yet?
Who is, I think we did Grace Helwig was on Beauty Break once, and that was so fun because I feel like we have like super like similar styles of comedy. That would be really fun. Doing something with Liza would be super fun. But I mean, like we did a show together, which doesn't really count, but like something like that. I think Cody Ko is like so funny, and my boyfriend would die because he has like the biggest friend crush on him. Yeah. I feel like that'd probably be the people who I'm like the most obsessed with, or I'm obsessed with these guys on YouTube. They're called Sorted Food. They're like British guys.
I interviewed them at VidCon.
Oh my God, I saw them at VidCon and I've like talked to all of them. Like we've all like talked before, like via the internet. And I was with my friend who knows I'm obsessed with them. She goes, oh my God, go say hi. And I was like, no. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like you're too nervous to go say hi? Like they literally commented on your Instagram the other day. I was like, I can't.
It is a weird like thing when you know someone via social media, seeing them in real life, even if you are like a very popular one and they're popular too, it's just awkward.
It's always awkward. And I feel like I like jokingly like let them know how much I'm obsessed with them, but like no one really fully believes it. And I was on Shane Dawson's podcast and like we were talking about something. He's like, yeah, so you like listen to the podcast? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, Megan, don't expose that you've listened to every episode. And so they have this like Farrah Abraham time or whatever, and I start singing the theme song, and they're like, what? I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I never let on like how much of a fan I am. So with Sort of Food, I'd be like, I know everything about all of you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I feel like a lot of YouTubers and a lot of like social media people like are a little socially like
inept.
Like I wasn't gonna say it, but you know what I mean. Like where that's why you're on YouTube is because interacting with people is tricky. It's tricky for anybody. Like there are some people out there who can talk to anybody and they don't care and it's like whatever. But a lot of YouTubers started it because they were like, I need an outlet to express myself because I'm socially awkward or whatever. And so like to get those people like where it's like you say something, no, you say something. It's
exactly. And I'm so socially awkward. Liza used to give me and our other friend Leo who's on the show used to like always tell me, they're like, Meghan, you need to like you treat everything like it's a stand-up comedy moment, but with like a waiter at a restaurant who doesn't know you and everyone's just like kind of uncomfortable because I'm like talking at them and making jokes.
Yeah.
And they're always like, you need to like stop. Or like I'll take pictures. Like people like Liza and I were at the airport a while ago and this girl was like handed her phone to me and was like, could you take a picture of me and Liza? And I'm like, for sure, 100%. And Liza's trying to like sell this girl onto subscribing to my YouTube channel while she's taking the picture with her. And the whole time I'm like, nah, it's okay. It's like I'm like making up this character that I do, and this girl's sitting there the whole time. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Like, can you just like take our picture?
Yeah, and Liza's like, dude, stop. And I'm like, okay, sorry, you're right. This is awkward.
Really funny. Who's your clickbait? So who is someone like when they post something, you immediately like it, you immediately watch their video?
Okay. Probably sorted food. That's like an automatic one. How to cake it. I love watching people just make food.
Are you into the Food Network?
Oh, I'm obsessed with the Food Network.
What are your go-to shows?
Well, Ina Garten is like
She's everything.
She's my hero. If you follow her on the best friend, okay, I love that Instagram has that thing now where you can see who else has liked it of your friends or commented, and that'll be the first thing that pops up. And sometimes it's like verified accounts, but other times it's just people who you also follow. So if anytime I'm on Ina Garten's page, it's liked by my two best friends from back home, and the comments are both like just genuine, sincere comments from my best friends being, this looks great, Ina. And I like go to like it. I'm like, oh, this is why we're all friends. This makes total sense. So I'm obsessed with Ina. I love Bobby Flay.
Are you into the Pioneer Woman at all?
Yes, Reed Drummond. I used to read her blog. I'm all about it.
I love her husband, Lad.
Oh,
He's
yes.
like the most hunky man alive. He's a beefcake.
The amount of birthdays Lad has managed to have on like how many years the Pioneer Woman's been on. I'm like, Lad, what birthday cake are you getting this year?
Well, and it's fascinating to me. Someone like a writer, a Vanity Fair writer that I follow on Twitter brought this up where he's like, that's not even like where they live. Like where she cooks, like the lodge is not their house. The lodge is like the lodge, and then they have their
like
house.
a couple miles away. I follow these food bloggers who went there for like a food blogging like conference or whatever, and they all got to stay at the lodge.
I want to go to the Merc so bad.
Oh my god, so bad.
Like my sisters and I are always like, when are we going to the Merc?
Right? Like, and like you can see all the recipes that she tested and see if the ones that she showed on TV are actually the ones she's doing. Do you watch Trisha's Southern Kitchen?
On occasion, not like as regularly, but I do watch it.
It is like a hidden gem of the Food Network because somehow she has managed to work a way of her singing in every episode. Like one episode she cooked for her Zumba class and she sang the cool down song for her Zumba class. And it's amazing because she's also like not letting them cut. So like it's just like a full 3 minutes of her singing and you're like, yeah, Trisha.
That is,
I love it.
The Food Network is like, if it's not Bravo, it's like the Food Network.
Yes, oh, those are my two.
And Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri. On Friday nights, they play they play marathons. I might have said this before on this podcast, but I'm gonna say it again. And that on Friday nights, I call it Triple D and Chill. Like that's like it's just I turn it on and I don't turn it. It's just that's all I watch.
I remember when I was in college, or even when I first moved to LA and like didn't have that many friends. It was like it's always on. Like if I wanted to fall asleep on my couch at like, and then I wake up at 4 a.m. because it's still playing.
It's like white noise. It's
like it is. I could fall asleep to the sweet laws of Guy Fieri any day.
I love him, and like unironically, like the internet has this very ironic love for him, but mine is completely unironic.
Super genuine. Like I love the frosted tips. I love how he likes to put flames on any sort of things he likes. Everybody brother. And I love just like his mannerisms. I love everything. I love it.
He's iconic. And so we also have this thing called First and Most. So we talk about your first video ever and your most viewed video ever. And so your first video is called Hello YouTube -ERS. Did you coin the phrase YouTubers?
Ooh.
You might need to call YouTube.
You should. Hello?
And so this was uploaded on June 17th, 2010.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it's just you kind of being like, hey everybody, like this is my first video as a guru.
Oh yeah, I was a beauty guru. Obviously.
That's so funny. So what kind of like, do you remember uploading it?
Okay, I do because my friend makes a cameo in this video and she was the person who actually introduced me to YouTube, and she had done it like right when it first started, when there was like 15 YouTubers at all. And she was one of those people, and I had gotten mono one summer, and I was like on bed rest and home and bored and sick, and I was super into acting, so I was going to acting camp and all that stuff, but I couldn't do anything. And so I was like, I guess I'll just make a YouTube channel. And I did not really understand, like, you're not supposed to swear, and like you're supposed to be like squeaky clean, and like you're supposed to know what you're talking about. And I thought YouTube was a website for people who do makeup videos, because that's what my friend did. And I didn't wear makeup. I knew nothing about makeup. I wore sweatpants to school almost every day, had transition lenses. Like I was like, fly, super cute. And so I like forced myself to like do these beauty videos, but I didn't pretend I knew what I was talking about. I told him, like, I guess this is what I'm gonna try and do. So I remember filming it, and I remember like not doing more than one take and just doing one take. And then that's kind of how I've always been. Like I've never done a video where I've like filmed it twice or like done multiple takes, because I never started like that. I was like, oh, this is the internet. No one's gonna watch it. Who cares?
I love that you like declare yourself a guru.
Oh, yes.
You're like, I'm a guru. I'm pretty sure gurus don't outwardly
No.
say
That's like the clear sign. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, but I'm like, hi, I'm a guru. People are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's what all you people call yourselves, right? I'm that dude. Me, same. Literally same.
That is so funny. How long did it like take you to put it together? Was it
like 35 seconds. It was the quickest thing in the entire world.
That is so funny. And then, so your most viewed video ever.
I think it recently changed.
Oh, well,
right? It's a real fun, uplifting anxiety video.
Yes. What anxiety feels like having. It has 4.2 million views. It was uploaded January 3rd, 2016.
What many views does it have? Whoa.
4.2 about. But I think that this is something. I mean, I've talked about this with people, like Anthony Padilla was on, and he talked about, he struggled with depression, and he struggled with anxiety as well. And like we were saying, there are a lot of YouTubers, and I think a lot of people in the digital community, like I said, use this as an outlet. And I think that this is super powerful, that you can, do this and you can kind of use your voice, because there are people out there who feel the exact same way. And so to see, the more people that they can see have the same feelings as them, maybe the more normal they can feel, or the more normalized their situation can be.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited about it. For a while, it was this video of me putting tape on Dylan O'Brien's face. So I'm like
very...
Yeah, so I'm like lightweight kind of glad. I'm like, oh, cool, this is something that people clicked on because of the content, not just like Dylan O'Brien is in the thumbnail. No, I mean, I've been super into writing like poetry my whole life, and I wrote this poem, and I had put it on Tumblr, and people were like messaging me from this, and they're like, wow, I really like this, I really relate to this. And I was so just baffled by that, because I didn't do it for anybody else, which is kind of the opposite of the video. The Tumblr thing was purely just for me. And then I had sent the poem, because people had suggested I make a video about it, and I'd sent the poem to this filmmaker who I've worked with a bunch. And I sent it to him, and I was like, do you think there's like a video here that we could do? I would really like to do something like this. And I sent him over an idea with it, and he was like, I love this. This is something that I've had, and like I knew that he had dealt with that kind of stuff too. And so he was like, no, I think this would be really cool to do. And so I had come up with this whole thing, and I really wanted it to feel, and when I was describing it to him, I was like, I want the whole thing to feel like the kind of like white noise on a TV that you can't shut off. And it's like, I want the whole thing to be, I want it to be like uncomfortable to watch, not in like a vulnerability emotional way, but I want it to just be like super just like all over the place and like really hectic to watch. And so it was cool. Like we shot it in like I think a couple hours, and then it took a little bit to edit, and it was one of those things that I felt I was really surprised it took off the way that it did, and it had the response. I was gonna say, did you
have a feeling that it was gonna do so well?
Not at all, because I also think like when it comes to like mental health and things like that, it's like one size does not fit all. Like it's so it's so different for every person, and so when it comes to like anxiety or whatever, that's what when I put it on Tumblr, that was why I was so surprised. People were like, "Oh my God, this is exactly how I feel." I'm like, "Really? Like no way, actually?" Because you're kind of used to thinking like, "Oh, what I'm going through is like what I'm going through right now is really unique to me." And I think just like posting the video aspect of it, I had no idea that people, I think for me, I also kind of wanted to hear how it differed from other people's experience and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was also subconsciously a way for me to like explain it to people without having to actually ever say anything. So if I went into a situation and someone had already seen my videos, they're like, oh, okay, this is like, you don't have to talk about it because like I understand what this is and I see this whole thing. And then it was crazy to have people who like from like literally everywhere who were like, no, this is like, I understand and relate to like this exact feeling completely. And it's cool when like kids are saying that they've sent it or shown it to their parents who like haven't really understood it. And they're like, oh, I get it. It's kind of a way to put it the whole point of the video is like it's really hard to put into words, and so it's more of a visual element of it. Yeah, and it's been cool, and I've like seen people tweet me all the time that they'll be like their psychology teachers will be playing it in like college and like all that stuff. So like a lot of places have played it. I know it got picked up. We gave like the rights to a couple of schools to play it, to put on like their website and stuff like that. Which I mean, only a couple have asked for the rights to it, not the ones that have been tweeting me like, look what's happening in my school. But yeah, no, it's cool. I want to do something more things along that line, but I never want to like force that because I can't be like constantly inspirational like Jake Paul.
Right. I mean, the creativity that just flows out of him.
Constants every day, bro.
Well, that's great. That's exciting that they like show it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like mental health, like more than ever, is something that's super important. And, you know, I think there are people who, maybe younger teens and stuff like that, who know that maybe something is like off with them, but they don't know how to verbalize it or something like that. So I feel like YouTube is a great place for people to go.
I think it is too, and I think a lot of the times also that age, you're bearing feelings you have or you're self-diagnosing, which I think also it's like the same thing, whereas like maybe you don't have anxiety and you've been like, you feel like you're plagued with this like permanent thing you're gonna have to deal with, and you watch the video and you're like, oh no, that's not me all the time. Like maybe I'm just stressed. Like maybe this is something like that. So I think that's also like kind of a good feeling too when people like are open with that sort of stuff, because I think people are so terrified of it that they'll automatically think the worst, and they'll be like, oh my God, this is me. This is my life forever. This is an always constant thing. Yeah. But it's always like, who knows?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's great. I love that. So one last thing, literally one last thing. So we have like a little, I don't want to call it a game, but it's just sort of like the last thing you blank. So
okay.
What was the last text message you sent?
I'm already looking for it. Oh, I don't even have my phone. Oh, she left. She had my phone. Is my phone there? Did she leave it? Sick. Oh God. Flip them around. That's the one with the two boys on the background. Nope, the other one, this one, yes. My two best friends are the background of my phone.
That's cute.
They're so cute. They're both in Freakish too. The last text message I sent was, oh, okay, and I sent that to my manager.
Last person you FaceTimed with?
Last person I FaceTimed, let's see, Lily Marston.
Oh, hey.
Yesterday?
Hey, girl.
I think that was yesterday. Oh, that's my missed FaceTime. Yes, no, that was still her. Yep.
Last movie you cried in?
Oh, I cried in Wonder Woman because I was like, being a girl is amazing. And then I also kind of want to say that I cried during Spider-Man just because I love Spider-Man. What else did I see recently? I just saw Dunkirk. Okay. I did not cry in Dunkirk.
Okay.
But I think probably Wonder Woman or Spider-Man.
Okay. I saw both those movies and I thought they were both great. There was a movie that I saw recently that I started to tear up in, and I was like, I should not be crying right now. I do not remember. I see, because I can't remember if I saw it in theaters or if it was when I was like watching like on HBO or something. I'll try to brainstorm. Or I'll try to like rack my brain for it. What was the last fast food you ate?
I am that unrelatable LA girl who doesn't eat fast food. I know.
Well, what's like last time you ate?
Last thing I ate?
Yeah, or the last time you went out to eat somewhere.
The last time I went out to eat was, I went to Whole Foods yesterday.
My cafeteria.
Oh my God, the hot bar. And I made myself a salad, but I did I get into like habits of food because I'm allergic to everything. So if I eat something that I'm not allergic to and I don't get sick, I get so excited and I eat it until like my body is like, nope, now you're allergic again. So I ate spinach and zucchini with chicken and guacamole.
That sounds really good.
It was really good.
Delish. What was the last Instagram account you followed?
Ooh. Oh my God.
That's usually not in chronological order.
Is it not?
That's what someone was saying. So I don't know.
Oh, you're right, because it says Liza Koshy. Yeah. Can you imagine I just followed Liza Koshy?
Oh, she seems like an up-and-comer. I should follow her.
I probably followed either... I can do. So I have multiple Instagram accounts. 3 of them. One is my backup account. That's like colorful pictures that don't fit my theme. And then the other 2 are literally just food-related things that are private and no one can follow me. And I just follow food videos. So when I'm in the hair and makeup chair, like getting ready for something, I'm literally just like sitting there scrolling through, and I just have the food videos, like
That's
the tasty
amazing.
ones. So I think that was probably like a food one. And then on my main one, probably a wedding thing. Even though I'm not engaged, I have like 3 friends who just got engaged, and I love stalking the internet to like find like venues and things. I would have been a wedding planner in my past life.
I don't have a boyfriend. I'm not dating anybody in any capacity, but I started following the Not Rings account.
Do you follow How He Asked, which is their account, which is how people propose?
Oh gosh.
It's very cute.
That might be a little triggering for me.
It's cute. I don't even like cute romantic things at all. It gives me like hives and I feel uncomfortable, but I like the photography too.
Right.
And like flowers.
What was the last YouTube video you watched?
I watched Cody Ko's vlog. God, this is like just like a me. I run a Cody Ko fan account. I watched Cody Ko's vlog. I think it was him dyeing his hair blonde. And then I also watched Sorted Food. They did a hot dog video.
Ooh,
I watched
fancy.
Watch them eat hot dogs.
What was the last show you stopped watching? Like where it was like you got like halfway through or something.
And I couldn't watch it.
You're like, I'm done.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, what's not getting renewed for a second season that I can say? I stopped watching the what's that Bella Thorne one?
Oh, Famous in Love.
Famous in Love.
Okay.
I watched, one of my friends is supposed to be in that, and I watched all of the scenes that would have been him to tell him how the other person was not nearly as great as he would have been, which is what I do. And then I think I finished almost all of it. And then I watched it with one of my friends, and then she went out of town, and then I just didn't. And then I didn't finish watching The Bachelor at this season. I started, didn't finish.
Same. I think I watched like the first two. What was the last show you streamed?
MasterChef or MasterChef Junior.
Oh, MasterChef
right?
Junior, so good.
Oh, so good. Because that's
So
still
good.
on, right? Those are still on right now.
I don't think so.
I feel like Junior finished.
Yeah.
I think MasterChef is still on because I watched Handmaid's Tale. I watched Big Little Lies.
Okay.
I watched all that stuff. But I think MasterChef is the only one that's still like I'm currently streaming.
I found Handmaid's Tale to be like devastatingly boring. Like
what?
I was like, nothing's happening.
Wait, how many episodes did you watch?
Like 3 or 4.
No, you have to watch all of them. Also, that's the point though. The point of the beginning of it is like you're kind of just like, I don't understand what's going on. This is super weird.
Okay.
And it feels like, did it feel very like post-apocalyptic kind of?
It was just boring.
But
like,
it's
it was
not.
just her staring off into space.
But because you don't understand, but that's the whole thing. Like they don't want you to understand like
Okay.
anything that's going on because she just like has a breakdown and then you figure it all out.
Okay.
And the creepiest thing is once you watch it and finish it, remember, or now I'm telling you so you can remember, I read that book for the first time in 5th grade and it was my favorite book. And I didn't realize, and I reread it probably almost every year up until like a couple years ago. So I was really desensitized to the fact that the first time I read this, I was 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Watching the show, I'm like, how
pretty
in the world?
wild.
It's so, I have no idea, so dark, and I was
Wow.
obsessed with it.
Anyways,
You should watch it though.
I'll
so
go
good.
back. I'll figure it out.
Did you watch Big Little Lies?
Duh, that was so
good.
good.
Okay, good.
So good. Last workout you did?
Oh, I went to Pilates this morning at 9 o'clock, and it broke me in half.
Yeah, Pilates is like
It's
so
hard.
hard. I can't do Pilates.
Yeah, I've been doing it like, I used to do bar classes, and then I started doing Pilates, and I do Pilates like 6 to 7 days a week, and I can do a push-up, but I also go to sleep so early every night because I'm like, I am so tired.
Yeah, I know. I work out in the mornings too, so my bedtime is like somewhere between like 9 and 10 p.m.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If I'm up past 11, something is wrong.
So what other kind of stuff do you have in the works right now? Like, what can you tell us about what's going on? What should we look out for?
Well, Freakish Season 2 is coming out in October. I think it comes out on the 19th. Pretty sure that's what that Freakish fan account told me. Also, that could be a lie that I'm just buying into. I just finished filming Mr. Student Body President, which I think also comes out in the fall, which is cool. I've got some other exciting projects that are coming out or starting and happening
The standard
soonish.
YouTube. Stay tuned.
I know,
everybody.
and
I can't talk about it right now.
I see all those people do those posts where they're like, guys, something super exciting is happening. And I've never been that kind of person. So like I feel like every time that I start doing something, it's a fully fledged thing that I haven't dropped any hints for. And people are like, wow, wait, when have you been doing all of this? You haven't said anything. And my boyfriend keeps saying that he's like, you need to do an entire video of just like a compilation of like other YouTubers who are just like, guys, something really big is happening. Like something huge
I can't wait
is
to
gonna
tell you
happen.
about it. Stay
Yeah.
tuned.
I hate when people do that because I like to know everything.
But
so
guess
I
what?
don't
Stay tuned.
Yeah, but just like stay tuned.
And so where can people find you if people don't know where to find you?
You can find me just at Meghan Rienks on Instagram and Twitter, and then just search Meghan Rienks on YouTube. She's there. It's me. Hello. And then my Snapchat is at @itmegan, which is still the most annoying thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because I own the @Meghan Rienks Snapchat, but I just didn't promote that one because I didn't show my last name before. Now I'm like pissed because all of my followers.
But Snapchat's kind of like not a thing anymore as much as it once was.
Yeah, I still try to do both because I'm like really uptight about my Instagram theme, and that's slowly trickled over to my Instagram story. My Instagram story is not like. It's still very much, I try way too hard. So then my Snapchat is still the only platform in which like it is double chins, no makeup, and like hair unwashed.
Well, very cool. And also make sure your podcast called Don't Blame Me, make sure to listen to that. That's what
every other Friday. And if you go to don'tblameme.show, it's on SoundCloud, it's on Apple Podcast app, and I think we have an RSS feed of it too. And now we're accepting like international calls, and there's a whole way to do that. I don't really know, but it's all on the website.
Very fun. And speaking of podcasts, make sure you guys subscribe, rate, and review to us. We're at Instant DOT Me on everything. And this was so lovely. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. This was so fun.
And we'll have to, like, when your exciting projects do come to fruition, we'll have to like have you come back and talk about them like for reals.
Yes, for reals.
All right. Well, thanks guys. See you next time.